This is an amazing time that science is really giving us the kind of picture we saw.
Yes.
And as our understanding of the cosmos evolves, is there a place for quote-unquote God? I know that's a very kind of a loaded word. I don't know what else
There's
to use.
absolutely a place for God. Let me tell you what my project is. Deepak is interviewing me because I have a book coming out next year called A God That Could Be Real. And now I have personally never been interested in a God I had to believe in. I really was only interested if it was real. If it was not real, I don't see the point. So I also wanted to have a coherent life. I wanted to feel that my spirituality and my scientific understanding are not at war with each other. I don't really want to be a war ground. I'm not a philosopher if just intuitively. What I want is results. I want a life that has peace of mind. So my project in A God That Could Be Real is this. I asked, is there anything that could exist in the real universe that would be worthy of the name God? So I immediately eliminated the whole question of does God exist? I started with the real universe, the kind of universe that Joel is talking about, the kind that the neuroscientists are talking about, scientific reality. Is there anything that could exist that would be worthy of the name God? Because that really raises the question, what do we want from God? What is the whole point of thinking about God? And I have come up with something which does indeed exist and is, to me, definitely worthy of that. And so
what is that?
if you redefine God this way.
So
Okay.
how do you redefine God?
Okay. Here's what I did. I think that what it is an emergent phenomenon. Now, here's the idea. Let me explain what emergence is very, very briefly. If you have a few ants crawling around, ants are extremely simple creatures. They don't communicate much. They only follow a few simple rules. If you study a few ants, you'll never understand them. But if you put 10,000 of them together in a colony, the colony of ants can do all kinds of things that no individual ant can do. It can engineer a structure, an anthill, taller than a man. It can allocate resources. It can tell if there's competition outside from other ants. It can assign certain numbers to be foragers and some to be trash collectors. An ant colony is a complicated thing, but what is it? It's an emergent phenomenon. Emergence is the source of almost all the creativity of the universe. And an emergent phenomenon is just as real as the parts of it, but it's different. It's very different. And if you look at us humans, we have emergent phenomena. Our economy is an emergent phenomenon. If you have a couple of people just trading things, there's no economy. But you put thousands and thousands of people together, and all kinds of economic rules come out. You have to go to grad school to study what they are. The government, that's an emergent phenomenon. When people really try to figure out how to live together civilly, governments emerge. They are real, but they're not human, even though they're made of humans. They're made of us. So, wait, let me come to the point here. So, let's think about God. God has, in my view, emerged from the incredibly complicated interactions of our aspirations. Because our aspirations do interact. Our aspirations define what we are as human beings. They drive us. They're our purpose. And our purposes interacting, I believe, emerged as God, the same way the economy did.
Okay, so I spent last night, even though it was very late, I spent a lot of it reading your book, and I finished it. And I have a bit of a problem with the terminology of emergence.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I talk to a lot of scientists, and, it's an emergent phenomenon. Consciousness is an emergent phenomenon of the brain, not knowing how it happened. I have a problem with emergence because if you can't explain emergence through its constituents, through the parts that give rise to emergence, that's magic. There's not science.
It does look like magic. It does indeed look like magic. But it can be explained at very, very simple levels, like the level of atoms in thermodynamics. That level of emergence can be explained. But the whole problem is that complexity just overwhelms us at a certain point. Nevertheless, the idea of emergence is a great metaphor for understanding how, on larger scales, new things appear that are not inherent in the parts
Then
below.
would you agree that emergence is a description and not an explanation?
Of course. I mean, science never tells us what the actual ultimate truth is. If science ever told us it was the ultimate truth, it would be dogma and not science.
Then science is a model of reality and not reality.
Yes, science is our best working knowledge, but the operative word is best.
Would you agree that then, in Eastern wisdom traditions, if you ask a Vedantist, who's God? The answer is God is our highest instinct to try to understand ourselves. Would you agree with that?
I think that's an aspiration. I think that's part of God.
But
I have to say that, a lot of the metaphors from many religions are really useful, but they have to be interpreted in light of what we actually know. We have to not throw away the incredible amount of knowledge that some of these scientists have come up with.
Oh, no.
I mean, science is the ultimate bullshit detector. If you want an accurate picture of the world, it's got to be based on science, but science is not the last word. It's the first word. We build on that.
Not knowing the mechanics of emergence, you agree there? I mean, thermodynamics and all simple types of emergence we can explain.
Yes.
But we cannot explain consciousness as emergence at the moment, right?
No, of course
we
not.
can't. So not knowing the dynamics of emergence, would it be fair to say that the potential for that emergence is eternally there?
But I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. But
Where does the emergence come from?
there will be there will continue to be emergence as things become more and more complicated, as more people interact, more...
Would you maybe call that a form of creativity?
Absolutely. That's why I said emergence is the source of most of the creativity in the universe.
So just as the universe is evolving, I think our understanding of the great mystery of our own self is evolving.
Yes.
And the fact that we can hypothesize a consciousness-independent universe, but we can never prove it empirically.
This is true, but let me say that this is getting into this sort of philosophical thing that I know that all of you guys really enjoy talking about. But the fact of the matter is, it's true that I'm a philosopher, but I was an atheist for many, many years. And the reason I got into this was I really want to have a spiritual life that makes sense to me. I don't want to be shut out because I'm scientifically thinking. I just want to be coherent. So I'm actually in this for results. And the way that I'm looking at God right now has turned out to be incredibly fertile. It has implications. Everything we've just been talking about is in the first chapter of my book. Most of the book is the implications. It changes the way that we look at the concept of a spiritual realm. It changes the way that we look at religions. It explains how we can renew our religions so that they are actually useful guides in the kind of world we're actually heading into. No, it doesn't explain everything, but it really gives us a completely new way of thinking and a new set of metaphors that are very liberating.
And I think there's therefore room for both, since science is asking what's going on, spirituality asks who's asking. And,
yes.
who's asking? Who's that asking?
But clearly they're coherent because they cohere in us. I mean, we are the intersection. We humans are the intersection of spirituality and science. So it must be explainable somehow.
Thank you, Nancy Abrams.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay.